And welcome back. Episode 2 of Under Review. Jeremy Goldstein, Ethan Birch back again. Second weekend in a row, bringing you some sports talk. Last episode, we had a great under review segment with the White Sox. Today, the team under review, Boston Celtics. Are they the best team in the East? Are they going to be representing the East in the finals? We're going to give you our analysis on that later. But first, before we talk about our segment or anything, I just have to point out, no mistakes this episode. We got a non-broken pair of headphones.
There you go.
And I said the Islanders goalie was still Yaroslav Halak last week.
It's not. He's not. Yeah.
It's not. It's
I don't know how to pronounce the guy's name.
Semyon Varlamov.
Varlamov, yeah, and he's been playing decent, but
we'll definitely
lots
talk about
of Islanders to talk about. Game 7 is tonight.
So we had the Avalanche come back down from 3-1 to tie their series. We're going to start with some hockey, then we'll get into some New York baseball. The Islanders up 3-1 on the Flyers, lost the last two games. Their last loss, the Islanders, was in double overtime. Got to give credit to Carter Hart, the goalie of the Philadelphia Flyers, 22 years old, and is playing sensational at the goalie position. And we also have the Vegas Golden Knights advancing to the conference finals. So an action-packed week of hockey, to say the least, Ethan.
No doubt. This is a third Game 7 in 2 days. Yesterday, where there was a couple Game 7s, the Avalanche advance. The Golden Knights advance. These are both series that were 3-1 at one point. The Islanders were also up 3-1 at one point. And this was, I believe, either the third or fourth straight overtime game the Islanders had to play. They've lost the last 2 or 3 in overtime.
They lost the last two.
And they won the game before in overtime. So it's just the last 3 games have all ended in overtime results. Game 7 is tonight. It's big for the New York Islanders. Can they finally get over that stump, make it to the Final Four in the NHL? It's big time. It's New York hockey. It's tonight.
Well, here's my issue with it. I think with the Islanders, when they were up 3-1, I was very confident in them because they were really proving to be an attacking team who scored a lot of goals and really prevented a lot. But if you watch the shot totals from the Flyers and the Islanders in Game 6, Varlamov, the Flyers consistently had at least 20 less shots than the Islanders all game.
The Islanders have been plummeting shots.
You have to give the credit to Carter Hart, the Flyers goalie. Like I said before, he's really keeping the series afloat,
right, 100%.
Giving his team a chance to score late in the game. And I think if you're Semyon Varlamov, if he's getting the nod, which I'm sure he will in Game 7 tonight,
100%, he'll be starting tonight.
Literally just get a few more saves, and I think you'll be fine. Because again, this year it went to 4-4 in overtime. He got up 4 goals in less than 20 shots. That's unacceptable.
It's not great. You're right. He's got a 91% save percentage, which is it's decent. It's actually the exact same as Hart. They both have a 91.4 save percentage. But the thing is, you're right. The shot totals, the Islanders plummet shots on net all game, and this makes Corey Hart look a lot better than
Carter,
the Islanders goalie. And that's the problem when a team's shooting under almost 15 less shots per game and you're still losing that game. It's not looking good. He needs to step it up in the net for the Islanders to win Game 7 tonight. Absolutely. Advance to the next round. Remember, it's game by game. Whatever. Game 7 is the sweetest words in all of sports. It's anything happens in Game 7. Nothing, the whole season, nothing, the regular season doesn't matter. The rest of the playoffs doesn't matter. Anything else in the series doesn't matter. It lays it all on the line tonight. This should be a good one. I'm very excited to tune in.
So why don't we get into some New York baseball, hockey? We've talked about that, but now Yankees and Mets kicked off some very important series this weekend. Last Friday, the Mets played the Phillies. You want to start with them? 5-3 loss. Porcello pitched well, but then Jared Hughes did not. What happened there?
It's just the same story over and over with this New York Mets team. Rick Porcello goes out there. Yes, he gives up 2 runs, which is actually not a bad performance by Rick Porcello considering what he's done this season. But the bullpen isn't really able to hold it up. Michael Conforto, the hottest hitter on the Mets, easily. As soon as Steve Cohen fully takes over ownership, I expect a pretty wealthy extension on Michael Conforto. He's been anything you could have asked for, 326, including a game-tying 2-run shot yesterday. He's been working the opposite field like no other hitter in baseball right now. But the bullpen fails again. Brad Brosh comes in into a mess in the 8th inning,
and he got out of
run. and it's just left and right. The Mets, unfortunate in the 8th inning, they get Dom Smith rips a base hit to make it 5-3, and then unluckily Robinson Cano lines out hardly, and then Pete Alonso pops up. Pete Alonso has just been a roller coaster of a season. His batting average is down to 210. Well, actually not down. It's been there all season. He comes off a dramatic walk-off home run versus the Yankees, which if you tuned into our live stream following that game, you would have heard a lot about it. But he goes 1 for 4 yesterday, including that pop-up left runners on base, including a runner in scoring position. It's just the same story for this New York Mets team, and it has been, and it's extremely disappointing. They dropped to 17-22 on the year. They're in 4th place, 6.5 behind first place. It looks like the Atlanta Braves might be running away with this division.
Well, how many games back are they of second place? Looks
like 4.5. It goes by winning percentage, correct?
No, it's just games.
Is the MLB doing winning percentage or games?
No,
because not every team is playing the same amount.
I think I haven't heard them say that right now, but I think in the NL East terms, they're fine. They can go by winning games because they're all going to finish their games in the NL East. Nobody's had a problem.
Okay, so then technically they're only 2 games back from them.
So that's why I said this is a vital series. They're playing the Phillies, who are right there with them.
The Washington Nationals are 13-24.
Dude, when does DeGrom pitch today?
DeGrom? I don't think so. I think he goes tomorrow. Yeah, Seth Lugo today, DeGrom tomorrow. We could jump into the Cy Young race a little bit. Did you see Yu Darvish yesterday flirting with a perfect game through 6?
Yes. This is my thing, though, with the Mets pitching, and we talked about how it's an issue yesterday. Seth Lugo is very good. I think he's one of their better arms, and he was a serviceable guy in the bullpen who wanted to be a starter. But he is not stretched out. I don't know how many innings he can give them. And the Mets
He's been good.
He's
like 6 innings and then 7.
If he can go 6. If he can go at least 6, that's a very quality start, I think.
It's honestly a win in a New York Mets book if Seth Lugo goes 6 tonight. I think this is a solid opportunity for the Mets tonight to put up a solid amount of runs. They're facing Spencer Howard, rookie pitcher. He's got a 5.4 ERA. He's not got enough to any start. He's a basic pitcher. He throws fastball, slider, curveball, changeup. He's good, and I think he will be good in the future, but not yet. The Mets could send out a pretty good lineup there tonight. I'm pretty confident that it could be a good night offensively, and if Seth Lugo holds down the fort on the defensive end, tosses 5 to 6 innings, the Mets could be right back on track, and they're also playing against the Phillies, who's in second place in that division. They could become within a game.
And this is a night where I see the Mets putting out one of those 5 lefty lineups with like McNeil, Nimmo, Smith, Cano.
This could be a Cano kind of night. I'm almost positive. I don't know if this is true, but I think Robinson Cano hit a home run off Spencer Howard the last time they faced off. I can't confirm if that is anywhere near a fact. That might be completely wrong, but I think he might have on a hanging curveball. Regardless, Cano has been also one of the Mets' best hitters.
He's been their best hitter.
You're right. Just straight up, right up to the point, Cano's been one of the best hitter on the New York Mets. Hitting 360, even when he got out in the 8th inning. As I mentioned before, he had a laser beam into the outfield. He has been hitting the ball on his line drive rate has been extreme. And something else I actually want to talk about, we mentioned this on the live stream. Edwin Diaz. So Edwin Diaz, you think that this guy would have like a 4.5, maybe 5 ERA like he did last year. But then you look at his ERA and he's sub 3. He's got the highest strikeout rate in all of baseball. Yet still he's frowned upon as one of the slumpiest closing pitchers in all of baseball.
And I can tell you why. Because when this guy comes in a tie game or a nuts situation, he dominates. And no one's going to give him credit for that. No one's going to pay any attention to it. No one's going to give it any satisfaction. So, and he's had a lot of those opportunities throughout the season. And so whenever he blows a save or gives up a run to tie a game, then he's going to get all this slander, and maybe deservedly so because he hasn't proven to be clutch necessarily yet. He was against the Yankees. He pitched a very good 2 innings. But this guy is a strikeout machine, and if he can sort of get it together under higher pressure moments, then maybe you'll see him as a more well-respected reliever and somebody who can last longer in the Mets organization.
You know, it's funny because his stuff is very good, and it's been good this season. He's one of those 2-pitch kind of guys, 4-seam into a slider, and sometimes he'll mix in a 2-seam fastball. And realistically, watching Edwin Diaz this year, his stuff has been nasty. He's got an extreme swing and miss rate. His slider breaks at the last possible second. It's a hard-throwing slider, and it's been good, and that's what just it doesn't make sense.
I think
and if you look back to some of the games where he blew the second game of the season against Marcell Ozuna, 3-2, 2 outs,
that was a good
up and away fastball.
That was a good
great pitch.
Yes.
It was a great pitch.
And
even Edwin Diaz said that's the exact pitch I wanted to throw. That's the pitch the Mets wanted me to throw. And I threw it, and unfortunately it went out of the ballpark. And I was really upset at that point. But looking back at it, it was a great pitch. 98 up and away out of the zone. Marcell Ozuna just absolutely when he can just fist the baseball off the bat. He is just that strong. He is a human monster. And he flicked his hands and it went over the fence.
And there's two more things I want to bring up with the Mets, and then we're going to transition to the Yankees. I'm going to say one more thing about Edwin Diaz, but before that, let's just mention the Mets DFA'd Billy Hamilton, and they gave up their 14th ranked prospect in the organization for him, so that basically was just traded for nothing.
Thank you, Billy Hamilton. What are you doing against the Yankees?
He's done stuff like that. Why he tries to. I get it. He's so fast. He's
what is he
fast.
doing?
You never make the first out of third. JD Davis, thank God, is clutch for you guys.
Gary Cohen mentioned this. He goes, when there's a player off the bench that maybe not be getting the what is it?
And hitting 045. And hitting 045, yeah.
Hitting 045. But when you have a player off the bench and he's not playing every day, he really wants to prove his point that he wants to play. When they finally get in the game, they try to make it all about themselves. He steals second. Actually, it wasn't a steal. It was a balk by Aroldis Chapman.
Chapman, this last time when Rosario walked them off and Hamilton was on base, Chapman tried to pick him off, but Hamilton still made it second. That's the second time that happened.
Also, Chapman balked. You're not allowed to put as a lefty.
Yes,
it's easier for them to pick over.
Made it
because you have to put your leg. So say this is your back leg. This is your front leg. You go up, you're allowed to go to first. If you go up and cross over, you can't go back to first.
Yes, he crossed
over and went back to first.
That's not the controversy here, though. You don't make the second out. You don't make the first out of the inning at third base ever.
I know. So yeah, he gets away with that. What are you doing? A guy who throws 100 miles an hour. And you're trying to swipe third with nobody out, and you're the time runner ready in scoring position. You're scoring on a single regardless.
Higashioka gunned him down, too. That was a great throw.
It was a missile of a throw. You're scoring regardless on a single. I was so frustrated. If you follow my Twitter, you could have saw that I was very mad. Just the fact that, what are you doing? It's common sense baseball. I'm happy to get DFA'd. JD Davis obviously clutched up, ripped a bomb off Aroldis Chapman, dead center. Missile off of his bat. He's a very strong young man. Although his average is down, it's not even that bad. It's not even that bad. 281. He hits the ball very hard. And he's going to be a good player in years to come for the Mets.
And before we transition to the Yankees, I'm going to make one more point about Diaz. So he got a lot of slander for that home run he gave up to Aaron Hicks last weekend. Mm-hmm. And I don't think he should. One, Jared Hughes did not get the job done in a 5-run game. Two, Andres Jimenez made 2 errors. He did not give a clean throw on a ground ball that Mike Ford hit. Mike Ford's one of the slowest players in the Yankees. It should be an easy bang play. And when Luke Voigt hit that single to the right side,
that was
Estrada was dead at third. Dead at third.
I know, and Jimenez didn't. That was control the ball.
I swear to you, I thought he was out.
He didn't slide.
I thought he was out.
The third base coach.
I'm like, why are you going? Phil Nevin's a good third base coach too. I don't even know if he waved him in. That was
beyond me.
You don't need to do that, especially with 2 outs. So then Aaron Hicks hits the home run to tie the game. And as I transition to the Yankees baseball, that is I can't imagine what would be the case if they didn't win that game, because that would have been 9 losses in a row, or 8 or 9.
Seriously, that was a huge win for the Yankees.
And
it's a common theme that it's either a huge win for the Mets or a huge win for the Yankees, and the other side is extremely disappointed. And that's what it's been all 6 times the Mets and Yankees have played. It's been just that absolute disappointment or extreme excitement. These games are close. They mean a lot in a 60-game season. And for both teams, this is just roller coaster. It feels like Six Flags throughout this baseball season.
And then you transition to the Rays series. If you're the Yankees, you lose 2 out of 3. You have a lot of controversial moments. Chapman's currently appealing a suspension.
A loud series.
Yes, and now we're playing. Now they're playing the Orioles, and they had a doubleheader last night with a taxed bullpen. Jordan Montgomery in Game 3 of the Rays series lasted 2/3, and the bullpen had to carry it the entire way. Game 1.
It's just tough when something like that's a coach's worst nightmare having a pitcher not be able to get through at least 3 or 4 innings.
Game 1, Yankees up 4-1. They put a nice scoring inning together. Gary Sanchez hits a home run finally, and they choke it. Good, solid pitching. Michael King was not great, but then they put in Ben Heller, and I'm sorry, I know he's trying his best. You don't put in. He's a scrub. Ben Heller's a scrub.
And he also hit a batter, I think.
Yeah.
He got ejected, right?
Yeah, but that was completely unintentional. That's a wholly different.
I know. It was like it's just a riding two-seamer.
Yeah, and Renato Nunez takes him dead center to tie the game. Dead center. And
don't sleep on the Orioles. The Orioles offensively have been so good this year, in game and out.
Annoying.
Week after week, you're right. They've been the mosquito that you can't get away from your face in a nice summer day. That's what they've been to the Yankees all year long, and it's haunting them because now all of a sudden you look at this division, and Toronto and the Yankees have the same. They're tied. They're both 21-17, and Toronto's been playing serious baseball. Tell me if I'm wrong. Did they get Bo Bichette back yet or no?
Not yet. But
not yet. And when he comes back,
the Yankees have all 10 games against the Blue Jays left this season. It's going to be
when does that start?
Break. Monday.
That starts on Monday?
Yes.
Wow.
So, but let me just finish this Orioles talk. The Yankees, Zach Britton comes in bottom 6. This is a doubleheader, so 7-inning game. Gets bases loaded with 2 walks. Zach Britton does not have it. Somehow gets out of the inning. Then the Yankees don't score. Chapman comes in, gets the job done. He was actually looking a lot better. He did walk a batter, but fastball was being located. Then the extra inning start. And the Yankees, Gary Sanchez is the runner. Gets the third base on a wild pitch to start, and it looks good. Tauchman walks, then a line out and a double play from Hicks, pinch hitting, brings it to the bottom of the 8th. Jonathan Holder escapes the 8th, and you might know this guy. He almost gave up a walk-off home run to Dilson Herrera.
Really? Dilson Herrera, former Mets prospect.
Played first base for the Orioles yesterday in Game 2.
He was involved in the Jay Bruce deadline trade in 2016, which was actually frightened some Mets fans because he had some serious power that was actually
did not pan out.
Did not pan out. I guess it worked out in a way for the Mets. I mean, kind of a lose-lose. Jay Bruce didn't play well at all in his tenure with the Mets.
At the same time, so Urshela went on the IL, of course. But then Andujar, in the second extra inning, comes through with a hit. Clint Frazier comes up with a hit. And then Jonathan Holder actually had to score the winning run. Jonathan Holder scored a go-ahead run because the Yankees lost the DH because they pinch ran for Voit. Mm-hmm. And Andujar was running, and they had no designated hitter. So they had to play Hicks once he pinch hit. So there was no area they had to lose the designated hitter. Jonathan Holder's running the base. He did a good job. And then the Yankees go ahead. They win. Chad Green pitches for the 3rd day in a row, something you rarely see a Yankee pitcher do because they needed it. They get the win. But then Davey Garcia pitches Game 2. He gets in a rough spot, 4 2/3 in. Yankees are up 3-2, but then Clark Schmidt comes in a spot he's not used to in his major league debut, and he gives up 4 runs. I'm not mad at that. I think you had to just try something else because the Yankees were so out of options.
I agree.
And it's hard to win back-to-back games on a doubleheader while with a taxed bullpen. So as much as I really wanted them to win that game, I'm not mad at it because I think you have to take you have to take some of the hits. I will be totally fine if they get a Garrett Cole win today. He needs to step up, pitch better, control the home run ball, and allow the offense to give him support, and we're good.
I can agree no more. The Yankees, obviously, Clark Schmidt. I like it. As I said, I agree before.
He'll be fine.
He'll be fine. He's a great young pitcher. He's one of their top prospects.
Number 2.
He sits with a great number 2 perfect. Clark Schmidt, he sits with a crazy good primary pitch sinker, which is really hard. He's got a good slider, a good off speed. Pretty sure he's got a 4 to 5 pitch arsenal. He's going to be a good pitcher, and I liked how the Yankees tried to switch things up. Unfortunately, it didn't work out, and it hurts them. It bites them, but it's a chance you take. I understand it.
I'm happy they didn't throw Ottavino for a 3rd day in a row, too, because then you would have had all your pitchers on like 2 or 3 days in a row, and he needed Ottavino for today. He's kind of going to be the closer today because they're not going to throw Chapman again. So again, it's tough because you wanted Garcia to finish the 5th and then have.
It's a tough situation regardless.
Clean inning.
2 young pitchers.
You can't leave Davian. You don't want to throw 100 pitches, and you want to get mad at Boone, but I totally get it. That loss, you have to just suck it up. It is what it is. I'm not mad, but good baseball talk. Do you want to switch to some basketball?
Yes, let's move over to NBA basketball. The Final Four series, the Elite Eight in the NBA, is currently going on. And realistically, I don't know about you, but I haven't really been enjoying the NBA. We've had some serious good games. The series have been great. We already had 2 Game 7s. Now we move on to the semifinals for each conference. Let's go over what we saw last night, and then we'll talk about what we had the night before. Last night was the Bucks versus the Heat, and then the Rockets versus the Lakers. Actually, we'll do a little transition. So we'll talk about the first 3 series, then Celtics, Raptors. When that wraps around, we'll actually switch to the final segment, which is our topic of discussion today. In the statement, the Boston Celtics are the best team in the East, and we'll see if we reject or
we uphold or reverse it.
Reverse it. We'll see. So let's start with the Heat versus the Bucks. This has been an extremely surprising series, something I actually saw coming. The Heat are up 3-0 against the number 1 Milwaukee Bucks. What in the world is going on with Giannis Antetokounmpo? I'm pretty sure I have a solid explanation for it, but Jeremy, I'll let you start off. I'll let you kick off the bat. 115-100 victory for the Heat last night. Dominance.
I was really high in the Bucks coming into this playoff, and especially how they finished that Magic series dominant fashion. I think Giannis is one of the most uncontrollable players on a drive. Like, you can't stop him. And then I liked having Middleton and Bledsoe with Lopez as well. I think they were really deep, and I liked it. And I thought the Heat didn't have enough experience coming into the playoffs. But, man, they've had a lot of successful guys playing for them recently. But we got to talk Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler was a player and who was coming into free agency. And as a Knicks fan, right, I know the Knicks don't have anything to do with this, but when people were bringing up, well, maybe the Knicks will sign him, everybody said, no, he's a scrub. He's going to be a guy who goes to the Knicks and ruins his career again. And I just shook it off. But at the same time, he goes to the Heat now, and he's playing like a top 5 player in this league. Like, he's really stepped up to the task.
Honestly, he's in a good system, and that's why I really think the Heat are better than the Bucks. Let me tell you why.
Spoelstra's a great coach.
Also, they're in a great coaching staff as well. I'll start with the Bucks. Richard Jefferson, I'm sure everyone saw his tweet. Antetokounmpo's another Pippen. A Pippen. So
doubt it. That's not.
In other words, a Pippen is someone. If you watch The Last Dance, you understand. If you just knew basketball as a whole, Michael Jordan came over before Pippen won him a championship. Obviously, that makes a lot of people a quote-unquote Pippen. But I'm going to make a really hot take right now and say Giannis Antetokounmpo, to win a championship, cannot be the best player on his team.
No.
Listen.
There's not many players better than Giannis, though. What do you expect? He needs
the best player. Okay, maybe in 1990, he could have been the best player on his team to win a championship. Listen to my hot take. Listen. God. Yes. Listen. The best player on your team. Think about many of the teams in this league. A Jimmy Butler, Kawhi Leonard, even a Paul George, a LeBron James, a Anthony Davis, a Jamal Murray, something along those lines. Those guys
to shoot threes
can shoot the ball when you need it. When you're down the stretch in the fourth quarter, and you're down by 8, and you need a shot, someone who can threaten it. Look, Antetokounmpo is not that guy, and that's unfortunate for him because he's in the wrong generation if he thinks he's going to be the best player and win a championship straight up. They're down 8, and this guy's trying to take it to the rack, and the whole stadium and the whole court knows he's taking it to the rack. It's an easy playoff. A guy like Kawhi Leonard can pull it. A guy like Jamal Murray makes a move. He can either get himself to the rack. He's one-dimensional on the offensive end this whole playoff. He hasn't been able to shoot the ball. He hasn't been able to shoot the ball yet, and it's hurt him so bad. When you're down 9 points with 3 minutes left, you need someone to be able to shoot the ball. Chris Middleton's supposed to be that guy. He hasn't been. He has not been at all. That's why they're down 3-0. He's not been able to shoot the ball. They should have. It was a lot closer than it should have been. Chris Middleton did not get fouled on that 3 in game 2. I don't care what anyone says. That did not look like
if he didn't get fouled, then Butler didn't get fouled. I think you have to call the same way either way. So I'm not.
It had to get called either way. No, I think that Butler definitely did get fouled. There was contact on his way down. They disrupted his landing.
But they still.
I don't think Chris Middleton got fouled.
He got touched. If you get touched on a shot, it's a foul.
I just think it's way more of a foul. Regardless, I guess it went either way. You're right, but.
They called both. I wasn't mad that they called both. I think if you called the Middleton one, you had to call the Butler one.
Okay, fine. Correct. I agree.
But hold up. I disagree with the take that Giannis needs a better player, like a player that's better than him. I think
Okay, maybe
that's
not. Okay,
ludicrous.
actually, let me rephrase that because you're right. There's not a lot of players that are better than him. He needs another superstar on his team.
Yes, that you can easily say. And I think Middleton, while he's an all-star, is not
the guy.
If he has Klay Thompson, then they win that series.
Okay, so speaking of Klay Thompson, free agency rolls around. Wait, Giannis isn't a free agent.
No, Giannis has one more year, I think, but I think Klay is signed.
No, Klay is signed. Another year rolls around. The Warriors still have a max contract offer. They offered over to Antetokounmpo. Why not? Head over. They will win a championship. All of his problems will be he will be so dominant in the interior and not have to worry about playing the perimeter because they have the Splash Brothers on the controlling the perimeter. He'd be able to work wherever he wanted on the floor. Giannis Antetokounmpo has a serious chance.
We're talking about the playoff series.
I'm just saying.
Bottom line,
Antetokounmpo cannot win. He cannot win.
I think the Heat are just being coached very well right now. They're taking advantage of the disadvantages, and that's how you win a playoff series.
Also, they're just a well-rounded team. They're a better well-rounded team than the Bucks. Think about it. When Jimmy Butler, their best player, doesn't play well, he didn't play too great offensively in Game 2, they still won the game. When Antetokounmpo doesn't play well, the team loses, and he hasn't played well, and they lost 3 straight games. The Heat have great players up and around their team. Tyler Hero, Jay Crowder has been a great spot.
Jay Crowder's been.
Bam Adebayo has been fabulous.
Great.
When he doesn't get himself into early foul trouble, he's got to be one of the most effective players on the floor.
I'll tell you a secret. Jay Crowder's been the unsung hero of the series.
He really has.
He makes the clutch threes.
He does. No, you're 100% right. He's been there when they needed him the absolute most.
My final problem with the Bucks is I think they played a team in the Magic that was severely underwhelming, and they are so much worse than every other team in the East right now. So I think the jump from the Magic to the Heat, there's such a talent gap.
Well, it's clearly taking a serious toll if that's the case.
But I'm definitely not taking away credit from the Heat. They're playing very well, and they have a chance to go to the finals for sure. I don't have it happening, but I think the Bucks just did not play. They played 5 games against a team that could have easily not made the playoffs, while a bunch of other teams were grinding against these teams that are championship contenders. So I think it's a lot harder. The Heat have played a sensational series. The Bucks have been sleeping. I have the Heat in 4 or 5.
They could easily close this out. A sweep in the second round at the number 1 Bucks would be extremely disappointing. And it just adds on to that campaign that Antetokounmpo cannot lead a team by himself. They need to sign someone. They need another player, or else Antetokounmpo, there's no reason why this dude doesn't go for the Warriors in a year. But I'll stick away from that. It's a little bit of a drag and a huge conversation we could get into in a whole other single episode just about that. But the Heat have just been playing. They're just straight up a better basketball team. The Bucks would need Antetokounmpo to drop 40 or 50 points for them to win a game. In my opinion. That's what they need, and they haven't gotten that. And maybe they get that in the next game, and maybe they win. But realistically, it's just not happening. And that just proves onto my point that the Heat are just a more well-rounded team. Jimmy Butler only put up, I believe, only 10 or 12 offensive points. He played great on the defensive side. But Antetokounmpo is the defensive player of the year. So you're not worried about him on the defensive end. It's only on the offensive end, and he's unable to produce. He can't shoot the ball down the stretch. He can't shoot the ball regardless. All he can do is try to get to the rack, and he's missing layups down the stretch, especially in the past couple games. It's not looking good for the Bucks. 3-0, no team in NBA history has ever came back from 3-0. Jeremy, there was one team that came back from 3-0 in baseball. Who was it?
We're not talking about baseball, so we can.
Sorry.
All right, let's next series. You want to do Rockets Lakers?
Let's do Rockets Lakers. Extremely impressive.
Let me kick this off.
By the Houston Rockets.
In the other podcast by our friends, the Dribbling Around podcast, I get hammered every episode, Ethan, because I picked the Rockets to win in my bracket, and they're like, "Oh, it's a joke, it's a joke," and I'm like, hey, "I'm not joking." Is a
big Lakers fan.
I'm not joking. I think the Rockets are the best team right now.
I disagree. I'm sorry. It was fun watching them win last night, but they're not going to do anything else.
Harden, I know he had a bad Game 7 against the Thunder. You can talk about that. He made the game-saving defensive play. He torched the Lakers last night. Torched them.
Okay,
Torched them.
listen.
And Westbrook played so well.
Westbrook.
When that happens every night, they don't lose.
Westbrook and Harden played great, but I give the entire credit to P.J. Tucker. Are you kidding?
He was hitting his corner threes. And
he was okay. Yeah, his offensive end, he was okay.
Great defense.
He was okay.
Defense.
He locked up Anthony Davis. Are you kidding?
This guy can guard anyone.
Are you out of your mind? I saw a meme before the game, and it was, you ever see the meme when the guy, he's holding the glass of water, he's shaking the water, he's like, oh, and the water's spilling everywhere? Mm-hmm. It was like P.J. Tucker when he realized he's going to have to guard AD and LeBron.
Yeah.
Yes, AD put up 25 points, but
and LeBron only scored 20.
Defense. He played great defense.
The Lakers weren't making
down the stretch. The fourth quarter was absolutely huge for the Rockets. They clutched out by outscoring them 27-18.
Eric Gordon played well too. The Rockets,
great team effort.
They shoot well from the perimeter. They shoot so well from the perimeter, and they are the best in the league at guarding the three. That perimeter defense, they don't have the center, so that's why they have extra perimeter defenders. Covington plays it well, Gordon plays it well, and Tucker plays it well. I think JaVale McGee, it blows my mind how good the Rockets are at rebounding as a team when they don't have a center on the floor. They really box out super well. And I think that's, since they don't have a center, they have to put in the extra work to become good at that. And that's what's resulting in their ultimate success. I think if the Rockets win game 2, there's no shot the Lakers win the series. I'm sorry.
I very highly disagree. You're talking about LeBron James, Jeremy.
30. I'm over it.
He destroyed Russell Westbrook yesterday.
Anthony Davis is the best player in the Lakers, and you cannot convince me otherwise.
I just think that all around LeBron James, he came up close to a triple-double. It's just these two on the court, you can never count them out. You just don't count them out. And it would really help them if Danny Green and KCP decided to play for their contract.
But they haven't done that.
Three-point shooters, it doesn't happen.
They haven't done it.
They haven't done it. I expect Danny Green to play a little bit better defensively against Russell Westbrook. But LeBron stuffed Westbrook on multiple occasions, also dunked on him very, very hard.
And what worries about me is, so the Rockets blew the game open in the fourth quarter last night.
Yes.
And the Lakers have that system on the floor with Alex Caruso. When Alex Caruso's on the floor, they're a little more intense, but their offense is not there.
You know what they need?
They had that unit. They had that unit with Caruso. I think Davis was on the floor, but
also Rondo came back last night, and he was like struggling a little bit in his first game back. Not terrible.
I know the Lakers lost game 1 to the Blazers, but I'm telling you, for the longest time, I've always been a Rockets guy. I've been high on the Rockets.
I know, but listen, a lot of people, including me, might have counted the Lakers out a little bit. This team, LeBron James, he can flip the switch at any point and drop a 40-point triple-double, and he's done it before.
And Harden can do the same.
Playoffs. I know. It's different, though.
Harden's the best at drawing a foul in the league.
It's different.
And
James Harden has games where he's
mid-range.
Not the best player on the court, and it hurts them bad. They probably lose the game against the Lakers if James Harden doesn't do what he does. If James Harden puts up, 36-5-2 every game this series, the Rockets will probably win the series. The question is, will James Harden do that? And I'm saying no. I think that he's incapable of doing something like that each game and each night.
I think he's absolutely capable because he's done it. Averages over 35 points a game during the regular season.
The Lakers need someone else to step up. It's been the common theme all playoffs. And you know who the guy needs to be?
LeBron.
Realistically, they need Kyle Kuzma to play better basketball.
Oh, yeah. No, I think going into the playoffs, I was high on him as a bench player. I thought against the Blazers, he was going to have a good series. But he wasn't getting a lot of shots either.
His shot selection
I think a lot of it.
Good either.
No, exactly. He'd have these spurts where he'd come into the game, would not get shots for a few minutes, but once he'd get the ball, he'd maybe shooting 3 out of 4 possessions in a row, and would just put up wild stuff.
His shot selections are not.
I think Mike D'Antoni's outcoached Frank Vogel in that series too with the rotations. The rotations the Rockets were putting out were brilliant.
Listen, Eric Gordon's been playing great basketball.
Oh, yeah.
Their bench has been producing. Although Daniel House Jr. didn't score any points.
I think he got hurt.
Oh, he did. He got hit in the head or something. He came off drowsy, right?
I don't think he's going to play game. He collided with someone, but I don't think he's going to play game 2. Maybe. I
remember that was actually strange. He started running up the court and kind of just fell down very, very dizzy.
I don't see him playing game 2 after that.
I genuinely forgot about that, so that's interesting. And that's actually he's 20 to 25 minutes off the bench every game.
Yeah, but you can replace that with Ben McLemore or someone like that who can shoot
Most likely. Jeff Green has been phenomenal
Jeff
all
Green,
playoffs.
the veteran off the bench, has been superb.
I
And
know we talked about
Austin
this.
Rivers was a great defensive backup point guard yesterday too.
He was good. But I still think that you can't count the Lakers out of the series.
Rockets in 5 or 6. I'm telling you.
That is that might be hotter than the take that I did with Antetokounmpo. You're talking about Jeremy. We're talking about LeBron James. Wait, Jeremy.
The Rockets are hot.
Not to get into this discussion. I don't want to get into this discussion. But who do you think's better, LeBron or Jordan?
I don't think either of them are the GOAT.
Okay. Either one of them, because I know you have
Jordan.
You think Jordan? Okay. I wanted to see if you said LeBron, but I still think LeBron is a top. I think he's the second best player in the world.
I know everybody's going to want to hear it.
You're not counting this guy.
We're not getting
he
this.
Turns it up.
We're not getting into this debate in the episode. I think Kareem's the GOAT, but that is, I just want to put that out there.
You can debate it. It's based on your style.
You can talk to us I will happy to talk to anybody in the comment section, but in this episode, we're talking about playoffs.
I don't even know if we're ever going to get
everybody
into
doesn't go debate.
That actually makes me angry. When people tweet about that.
I'm sick of it too.
I don't like it. I'm honestly sick of it. I was down to do a podcast about it about 4 or 5 months ago, but now I'm just so sick of the arguments. It actually makes me angry when people just keep on talking about it. But personally, I think Jordan's the best player just because we said it. But away from that, I still think LeBron James, you don't count this guy out. He's come back from 3-1 against the greatest team of all time.
I don't think he's as good as he was then. Though.
I wouldn't. Jeremy, I wouldn't count him out. I'm just saying that. I think the Lakers still win this series.
I think they're better suited for a team like the Warriors than they are the Rockets. I think the Rockets are just a different breed of a basketball team. They don't play nearly like any other team does.
They have off nights, though. That's the thing. It's why they went 7 with the OKC. They have off nights.
They had a player that can guard hard and night in and night out. I know Lou Dort can be a meme to so many people, but he was great defensively. He really gave Harden trouble. Who on the Lakers is going to guard Harden and give him trouble? Let's move on to the next series. Exactly. I win.
I just don't think. I don't think. Still think they could.
Nuggets Clippers. Let's go Nuggets Clippers.
They have off nights. That's the thing. Nuggets Clips. 1-0 Clippers.
It's not going to be Clippers in 4.
Yeah. All right.
The Nuggets are.
I was actually kind of like
the Nuggets are a solid team, but the Clippers are just that good.
I didn't want to say it right away. I didn't really want to get into the series, to be honest. It's kind of boring. The Clippers are going to sweep through the series. You're right.
Because the Nuggets are a good team, but then the Clippers are just, in terms of matchup too, because Jokic, they guard him really well, and Kawhi and Paul George is playing better, and Kawhi is
Paul George has been turning it up, which is crucial for the Lakers.
The Nuggets
shooting the ball much better.
I think you need one more season. You need one more season of Jamal Murray to develop into a bigger All-Star and a better.
He's going to be one of the best players in the league, if not one of the best players in the league right now.
Maybe 1 or 2 seasons, and then you can really consider that him and Jokic to be that great combo.
Except he didn't play good last game either. He got locked up.
Exactly.
He got locked up. The Clippers are extreme defensively. If we're talking about defense, we'll talk about the Los Angeles Clippers.
That's why I think that Rockets series when they play the Clippers, and I'm saying it.
When they play, exactly.
Yeah, when the
Lakers play the Clippers.
Okay, all right.
Beat the Clippers.
All right.
I don't know how you would ever count out LeBron James.
I counted him out. I'm doing it.
That's the biggest mistake. Actually, we'll come back in a week and we'll see, honestly, who's right. We'll get a real definition of the series in a week. So we'll see. But, okay. Before we get into our topic of discussion for episode number 2, which was the Boston Celtics are the best team in the East, we promised NFL picks. They're not here. But we will have them throughout the week because the NFL season starts on Thursday, which I am so excited for.
Oh, yes.
Next podcast is going to be absolutely ginormous NFL.
Mm-hmm.
Almost specifically NFL.
We'll touch up on baseball and basketball a little bit, but NFL is going to get a large portion of the podcast.
We're going to have, I'm not confirmed, but Jeremy's friend who's a Giants fan, we're going to review the Giants game in the middle of our episode. The first episode, we're going to talk about all the games all week. Then we'll go Giants talk, and then we'll, of course, go into our topic of discussion, which we don't know yet. We'll figure out as the week goes on. Maybe it's the Lakers. Maybe it's the Rockets. We'll see.
It'll be a football. I think it'll be a football one.
We can go football.
Let me just recap what we're doing here. So we're going to have a competition. I'm sure we'll come up with some forfeit for the loser at the end of the season, but we're going to do on Instagram and Twitter, we're going to record a pick'em that we do for the week slate of games, and we're going to obviously post. We're going to post who our picks every week. We'll keep track of our record throughout the season. Keep a lookout for those. They'll come out probably before Thursday, before the Texans-Chiefs game, so we have everything ready and set. And since Ethan and I are such big Giants fans. I have a friend who runs a podcast called Talking Big Blue with JQ. His name's Jack Corderaro. I'm trying to get him on the podcast hopefully, maybe even weekly, and he can help preview the Giants game because that's going to be one of our segments. We're going to preview the Giants. They play the Steelers on Monday night. Should be a good game. I think it's going to be closer than people think, but we'll get more into that next week. I'm really excited to get into football.
It's a big week coming up. School may start, but the beauty of school starting is the NFL season comes right with it. So excited for all of that. But without further ado, the Boston Celtics, I'll put up on the screen right now, are the best team East.
After review of the statement, the ruling on the pod is reversed. I'm going to say no. I think the Raptors...
Similar to last week.
Yeah, we're doing the same...
Held by me.
Well, all right, we'll start with me on this one. Okay, it's confession time, right? I thought I was going to say the Bucks going into this week.
Jeremy did tell me. I'm not going to lie. He told me earlier this week he was going to argue Bucks. But
I'm wrong. I'll totally admit I'm wrong. But I'm going to argue with the Raptors today, and I'm sure I'm going to make people confused because look, the Raptors won a game, but they made it was a pretty lucky three. OG Anunoby.
Because they're playing against each other right now too.
Yeah, OG Anunoby. But look, I think that type of buzzer beater is what can really ignite Toronto and their play. Nick Nurse, Coach of the Year, and he's really done a great job with this team. Pascal Siakam started to heat up a little bit in that game. Serge Ibaka's been playing very good minutes. Look, I think the Celtics, their guys can have too many games where the guys like Tatum and Jaylen Brown get cold. And as a whole, I don't think their chemistry is as top-notch as the Raptors. Fred VanVleet and Kyle Lowry, I think, is an exceptional backcourt, and as long as they're making their threes, they're going to dominate the series. The Raptors, they proved again. Well, I know the Brooklyn Nets were a very poor first round team. They were very under. They had none of their players pretty much. Everybody was up to that or injured. But I think with the Raptors, I'm really high on them. I'm very confident that they're going to come back. They're going to win today, tie up the series, and maybe win in 6 or 7.
I strongly, strongly disagree, Jeremy. The Boston Celtics, maybe one of the best teams in basketball right now. That's a total. In the whole league, they've been playing like that. What did they do in the first round? They swept through who? Or they didn't sweep? Who did they play in the first round?
They swept the Sixers without Ben Simmons.
Okay, so they blew through that first round.
And the Raptors,
they're currently in the process. They should be up 3-0 right now without that freakish play. Saved the Raptors, gave the Raptors just a little bit of breathing air. That's not going to matter.
Much needed.
I go back to my argument about the Miami Heat. I go back to my argument.
Such a big role.
I go back to my argument with the Miami Heat that the well-rounded teams in the NBA are the teams that are going to come around. They don't have a necessarily insane superstar. They have Jason Tatum, who actually probably definitely is their superstar. But it's fine. In another case, just like Jimmy Butler, it's fine if he doesn't have a 40-point game every single game. They're well-rounded. When he doesn't do good, Kemba Walker does good. When he doesn't do good, Jaylen Brown does good.
40-point game ever. Like I not ever, but
wait, sorry, what did you say?
Players in the Raptors don't need a 40-point game to win.
I'm saying
Lowry, VanVleet, Siakam, Ibaka, they all contribute equally.
They've been locked up this series. Tell me differently that they have not been locked up this series.
They won a game.
Won a game barely, holding on by an absolute thread. It's like when you have a loose tooth.
They were winning. They were winning most of that game anyways, and Kemba Walker stepped up, and Kemba Walker's played a fantastic series.
He's been playing insane. He's flashing it back to the Madison Square Garden, cardiac.
Yeah.
Iced out dagger on Serge Ibaka.
I'm giving the Celtics credit. But even so,
they're well-rounded ball club.
are much more in the series than you think. And even so, if they lose, are they getting past the Heat? No.
That's up for debate, and I think they can.
They match up
very well against the Miami Heat, where there's a serious chance this team comes out.
You think Daniel Tice outplays Bam Adebayo on the boards? Absolutely not.
Okay, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that they will get past him in a sense that they're a more well-rounded basketball team. They have more guys that are going to put up 20-plus points a game. That's not their style exactly of basketball.
I think, especially the Heat haven't lost yet. Let's put that into perspective. That's incredible. The Celtics, they're struggling to get through the Raptors.
Well, I wouldn't say they're struggling at all. How can you say that when they should be up 3-0 in this series?
Let me rephrase that because I did overdo it there. I think they're going to struggle down the road to get through the Raptors. I really do think so. They are right now. I messed up. They are going to down the road.
I just disagree.
I see a big Raptor win today.
They've put up over 100 points in all 3 games so far. I was just checking up on that. They've held the Raptors under 100 2 separate times. Clearly, their defense is stepping up.
Yeah.
And even when Gordon Hayward doesn't play, this team is very effective. And when Gordon Hayward plays, it spreads the floor. It makes room for switches for Kemba Walker to get a big man on him.
The Raptors spread the floor better than any team in the East.
Well, clearly not better than the Celtics. Okay, should be down 3-0, down 2-1.
Whoa. But do they get past the Heat? The argument here, and if the Raptors implode, fine. But our argument here, our statement was, are the Celtics the best team in the East? Are they better than the Heat?
Yes.
If you go matchup to matchup, Jimmy Butler can take Tatum, take Brown, whatever. And then Jake Crowder,
Jason Tatum can play good defense on Jimmy Butler. Kemba Walker or Goran
Dragic has been torching everyone with that 3. And Adebayo is the best offensive rebounder in the playoffs right now.
Who'd you just say? Sorry.
Bam Adebayo is the best offensive rebounder in the playoffs right now.
Yes, they have good players, but there's just more talent on the Boston Celtics team. They're able to spread the floor way better offensively, and they will exploit that in a series against the Miami Heat. Exploit that.
The Heat have the best, most diverse offense I've ever seen. So no. And they come off the bench. They have Duncan Robinson hitting 3s at all times. Tyler Hero is one of the best rookies this season.
The Celtics get production up and down. I don't know how you say that.
The Heat don't?
I'm not saying the Heat don't. I'm saying that overall, the talent up and down these rosters, I would go the style of basketball.
I think the Celtics have 2 very good teams to get past. And here's the deal.
They definitely do. I'm not saying that. Okay, I'm not saying the Toronto Raptors aren't a good team. I think they get past the Raptors, and I think they get past the Heat. I don't think there's any reason why they shouldn't. It's going to be a very, very good series if these teams were to match up. I think the Heat automatically win their series.
What makes you so certain that the Celtics will have no trouble getting to the finals? You seem very defiant and confident in the fact that the Celtics are by far the best team.
I like their matchups. I like the matchups. I like how they match
up
against the Miami Heat.
What makes you like the
matchup? They will score points.
The Heat
down the stretch.
Score so many.
They put together massive third and fourth quarters.
They've been a top 3 scoring team in the East this playoff.
I know, and that's why I'm saying they could. I understand that, but my argument is that they match up better.
We might have to have a live after the Raptors Celtics game today.
We might.
Who knows?
We will probably. Yeah, I'm down for that. But just there's, in my opinion, my final arguments as we walk out, there's 4 to 5 guys on the Celtics team that will put up over 20 each. They are very, very good offensively and defensively. I wouldn't even count them out. They have good players coming off the bench, up and down their roster. I think just if you put these teams together, I think they match up very nicely against the Miami Heat. Very nicely. Their matchups, in my opinion.
I don't think it's safe to say they match up very nicely because the Heat have been the best playoff team in the East this year.
If there's any team to slow down the Heat, drag them back from outer space, back to earth. Boston Celtics.
Let's just say I don't even think they'll get past the Raptors at the end of the day. I really don't. I think the Raptors are going to come storming back.
Well, I guess we'll have to see. But
the Heat are the best line of defense in the East right now you can ask for. So.
I mean, we'll see. I mean, I guess that's the farthest this argument's going to go, with still plenty of games for both these teams to play before they could even potentially match that up. But I'll stick by my argument. I uphold the call Jeremy rejects. The Boston Celtics, the best team in the East, was the.
So let's just keep note of that. You put this on the screen. You've upheld the review twice, and I've rejected it twice. We'll keep track of that. That'll be an interesting thing to see.
We'll try to get something different. So by next week, an NFL team. If you have any suggestions for what you would like us to review, we're completely open to review.
Yeah.
Comment down on YouTube. We will review your suggestions that you want us to put under review, if that makes sense.
Comment down below. We'll read all of them.
All right. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Under Review. We'll be back next weekend. Enjoy the rest of your week, the rest of your Labor Day weekend, and good luck in school as school rolling around this week.
And keep a lookout on the Instagram and Twitter. I'm sure Ethan's going to have our social media at under review underscore via at under underscore review VIC. I'm sure we'll have all the social medias for us and the account up here on the screen. But keep a lookout for our NFL Week 1 pick'ems this week.
They'll be out this week, sometime
before
this week.
Thursday. Before Thursday,
when the Chiefs and Texans go down for Game 1 of the NFL season. I've never been more hyped up. But once again, thank you for listening and have a good weekend.